Okay Reddit, what are some clever questions asked by cops to get you in trouble? I was once pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt even though I clearly was. He then asked, "Are you calling me a liar?" Cool, I say yes and I don't know what kind of trouble I am in. I say no and I get a ticket even though I am wearing a seatbelt. I just replied with I am wearing a seatbelt. And of course he wasn't happy about that either. I just don't like his initial question to which there is no correct answer. Do you know why I pulled you over? Would you like to incriminate yourself? This is probably the most widely used tactic. Police do have microphones on them and intentionally ask this question for the very reason of self-incrimination. Also, there is a chance that you might mention something that they didn't pull you over for. Just say no. Not really a question, but they'll casually mention going to get fingerprints or something in hopes that you'll say okay, fine, it was me. I know a guy who fooled everyone. He wrecked his car and then tried to claim his car was stolen and the thief crashed it. He made it believable. I believed him. All our friends believed him. The cop had doubts and mentioned that he'd dust the inside of his car for prints. The guy buckled and admitted. I later asked why. Because he was going to get my fingerprints. I replied, well, no crap. It's your car. Of course your fingerprints are there. The most common technique is just to ask the same questions over and over and record the answers. Typically you don't respond the same way every time and eventually, if you're trying to hide something, cracks will appear in your story. Better just to shut up. There is one safe word, lawyer. Police officer got me pretty good. Pulled me over at a speed trap. And after a series of questions asked if I thought I could have been speeding and I said yeah probably. And he wrote on the ticket, admitted to speeding. I was pulled over and was speeding and I admitted to it. He gave me a warning and not a ticket because I was truthful. Do you know what the speed limit here is? No officer, I was driving much too fast to read those tiny signs. I got pulled over for speeding while driving across Canada and was asked this question. My reply was that I hadn't seen a speed limit sign for at least an hour. He came back with yeah, they blow down and let me off. Glad he didn't think to ask whether one of the 2 GPS units I had up could have provided the info. You're not from around here, are you? Have heard of some rural cops using this on people, making up some BS. Local ordinance they violated and then downplaying that into a different offense they didn't commit. Had one time where I was pulled over for making a legal right on red and had the officer pull me over and tell me he was going to mark it as a noise ordinance violation. He even explained it would save points on my license as it was a non-moving violation and I can just go pay that at the courthouse. Prosecuting attorney dismissed the charges when I showed up to contest them and explained what had happened. Yep. They do this crap especially if you're from out of state. They bank on the fact you're just not going to show up to contest it. Little do they know I'm a spiteful mother sucker and I will absolutely take 2 days off and drive 8 hours to contest a bull's ticket. Here's one I see from smarter cops. Sniff sniff. I smell beer. Wait for a response. It's not a question, but it definitely puts the ball in your court to explain why this officer smells beer. While it's tempting to suggest that maybe the officer just burped, the correct response is to ask whether you are free to go. If not, it's time to say my lawyer told me never to answer any questions or consent to any searches. If they ask you to recite the alphabet backwards, the answer they're looking for is I can't even do that sober. Have you ever tried sugar or PCP? Any leading question ever? I had a cop pull this devious tactic on me at a DUI checkpoint. Note, I don't drink alcohol at all. So, he's asking the usual questions: where are you coming from? Work. Where are you going? Home. How long have you worked there, etc. And then he suddenly gets all casual and says, well, if you are drunk. You sure fooled me. I thought it was an odd thing to say and I know to be careful what I say to a cop because of the tricks they use. So just to be safe I didn't say anything. Just looked at him. He looks away for a second, says something else, I don't remember what exactly, and then goes right back and says the exact same line. Well, if you are drunk you sure fooled me. At that I knew something odd was going on. So I asked him if we were done and could I leave. At that he let me go. Later, After trying to figure out what that was all about, I realized if I had said anything to the affirmative, yes, aha, or even nodded, it would be as if I said yes, I am fooling you, I am drunk. Imo, a pretty despicable way to get someone to unknowingly admit guilt to something they may not even be guilty of. That was so clever tactic from a cop. I think he might be a detective. Do you know what speed you were going? No, officer. Of course I don't. I had no clue I was 25 over. No, sorry. My car's speedo went out and the GPS on my phone is on the fritz, so I was without a proper speedometer for about the last mile. This actually got me out of a speeding ticket once. Do you know how fast you were going equals either you tell me you were speeding or I know are going to lie to me. I learned a good response from my girlfriend's dad. I honestly don't know how to answer that question. So where are you headed? Have you ever drank milk or murdered a prostitute? So, where did you get that severed head? Don't ever open the door for a cop. Ask for a warrant. Make sure it's signed, the address is correct, etc. Have them slip it under the door or something similar. If you open the door they will put their foot in the door blocking it from being shut again. If you try to shut it they will get you for assault on an officer. There's a video of a woman doing the exact thing and the cop shoved her with such force her ankle sustained a compound fracture. They had zero legal right being in the home whatsoever, but her leg isn't magically fixed just because they were wrong. Do your parents know you commit crimes, yes or no? Hey, can I check your backpack? I was stopped because an officer saw me cut through a parking lot and thought I was about to graffiti a church. It was night, and I was jogging in a black hoodie and black backpack to catch a bus, so I get the suspicion. The question was clever because I could have opened my backpack to demonstrate my lack of spray paint, only to reveal something else incriminating. I declined the inspection, even though I think I had only textbooks, notebooks, and maybe a laptop. Telling you that if you have any drugs, to just hand them over and everything will go much better. Honesty goes long way with me, just in other words they say to get the truth. Speaking of directives, so you are never really sure if you have to do something or not, giving warnings for small things. This encourages you to be more open with them in the future on bigger things. How much have you had to drink tonight? My buddy was arrested for public intoxication. The cop was a nice dude, college town, and he looked at my friend who was trying to be a smart butt and said, I bet you can't touch your thumbs together behind your back. My friend, oh yeah, proceeds to do so. Click click, cuffed him. It was absolutely hilarious. Husband and I were driving home and got pulled into a DUI checkpoint. He had about 2 beers in a few hours time span, so I'm sure would have been fine, but I was still a nervous wreck. I just kept looking down at my phone while the cop talked to him. At one point I heard the officer tell my husband to follow his pen and I hear my husband go, you mean your finger? And the officer goes, yes, follow my pen with your eyes, and my husband responds again, you mean follow your finger? I'm sitting there looking down thinking WTF, just do what the officer says and don't argue. Turns out he didn't have a pen and it was his finger and was probably just seeing what my husband would do. Thing is, my husband is also in law enforcement and totally figured the guy out, and I didn't have to give him crap for being a smartest to a cop. C, may I board you boat? Yes. Removes life jacket and boards. C, I am going to have to ticket you for being one life jacket short. They'll ask you a series of questions in rapid succession. For instance, do you mind if I search your vehicle? You aren't doing anything wrong, are you? They will ask you both of these questions back to back so you don't have time to answer either of them. Most people unfamiliar with this tactic will answer the second question. Since it is ambiguous as to which it can be applied to, they will apply it so that you don't mind them searching your vehicle. They get away with that crap too. If you're stopped while driving, it's common for the officer to suddenly have hearing failure and ask you to repeat something while leaning close to your face. They are checking for alcohol on your breath. Don't drink and drive. If you use this information to try and avoid being caught, you'll just be more likely to get breathalyzed. Have you had anything to drink? Any living human being would need to answer yes, except you. You know better. This question is introduced in a grand jury setting as driver admitted to drinking. regardless of anything you admit you drank. That was really good. Are you a dancer? Cop, are you drunk? You. Number. Cop, does yo mama know you're drunk? You. No. Cop, busted. This is really important. Officers are pros at making you self-incriminating yourself. I tell my friends this all the time. The first thing I learned in undergrad law classes, and being a colored woman, is that when you're stopped or pulled over, cops are not trying to make small talk with you. They are simply trying to get more information by doing the whole good cop bad cop thing. They make you think they're on your side and making small talk, and they're trying to get more evidence or incriminating statements from you. Here's the best example. A pair of officers pull you over for suspected drinking and driving and asks how many drinks you've had tonight. Of course, you know what they're trying to do. At this point, one officer goes back and says, "Hold on, let me get fill in the blank of some excuse to stall." The other officer stays at your car and seems like they're making small talk. Also, you could just not, be selfish and risk everyone's lives by driving drunk, but whatever, I guess. They ask you questions like, "So, what did you have for lunch today?" The more you eat, the more you can drink. Empty tummies equals less tolerance for alcohol. Are you in college? What organizations? Trying to judge your lifestyle. This is very prominent in small towns, college towns, and college areas. If you say you're a part of a notoriously party rowdy organization, they can see that you are likely to be drinking at that time and or better at holding liquor than somebody else. You look like you lift or play sports. What do you do? Sounds cool. Tell me about it. If you lift weights or play something that builds muscle, you can handle more alcohol. If you do an activity that makes you skinny and speeds your metabolism, like running or ballet, you handle alcohol worse, but it gets out of your system fast. What you'll do today? Did you go to the event that happened earlier today? Might seem harmless because they're asking about an event that happened hours and hours ago, but it could be very telling about what you're up to now. Like maybe there's after parties or something. This one is also huge in college areas. What are you studying and or what do you want to do? College things. Certain majors attract certain people. Some majors people are more likely to know the law, their rights, so the cops need to step up their mind games. TLDR. Cops will make small talk with you, making it seem like they're kind and actually care, but they are often getting little details about your day, schedule or lifestyle to see if there's more suspicion to have. Cops are overworked, underpaid and extremely busy. They don't give a crap about your day, major, or hobbies. Cops are not your friends. They don't care about learning about stuff you do or did. They want you to give them info. Plain and simple. You must remember the line, "Anything you say or do can and will be used against you." Parking ticket was written out for 15 minutes in the future, when the meter would have been expired. It was a 5-minute walk to the police station where they laughed and said they would take care of it. Everything you say to them can be used against you. It's in the Miranda rights. Nothing you say to them will be used to help you. Say the minimum. Lawyer up. I cannot believe the number of crime shows I watch where the suspect is just chatting away with a detective. Don't do it ever without a lawyer present, even if you are 100% stone cold not guilty. I got out of a ticket once by not letting the officer ask the first question. It was a 2-lane highway, and I was behind an SUV. As we were going around a long curve, there was a rig in the other lane. The SUV paced the rig for all the way around the curve. When he finally got a little ahead, I gunned it and went around him, because I knew there was a light coming up and I didn't want to get stuck behind both of them. As I zoomed by, he put on his lights. So he walks up to my car. I roll down my window, put my fingers to the bridge of my nose and wince, and say that was a pretty stupid thing to do, wasn't it? He laughed, made small talk for a couple minutes just to try to draw out anything worse I might have been doing. I was just honest and friendly in my replies, without actually admitting to any wrongdoing. I hadn't really done anything that was a hard definition of illegal other than a very brief moment of speeding to get past him, which obviously he couldn't have clocked. He walked back to the car, checked my license, came back and said, "Okay, I think I've held you up long enough to punish you for this. Keep the speed down. Have a nice day." Overall, I've gotten out of it, or had the fine reduce on 2/3 RDS of the times I've been pulled over. by being friendly and as honest as possible without directly admitting any wrongdoing. Every question asked by the cops is meant to get you to volunteer information. None of it helps you. In short, don't talk to the cops without your lawyer present. Even then, let the lawyer do the talking. Does your mom know you smoke WD sucker had me dead to rights? LOLOLO. What are they we air? We have you on video egging 5 different homes. I only egged that one, I swear. This happened to me when I was a teenager. Do you know how fast you are going? When you say no, you have admitted to whatever they wanna write in. The correct answer is yes. That's it. No number. If they press you for an exact number, respond. I do not answer questions that I'm not required by law to answer. Am I free to go? When not on a traffic stop, do you have any id? This question is asked in order to get you to voluntarily give up your id. Not a question, just some information. No matter what a cop claims, nowhere in the US are you ever required to perform the field sobriety test. That's the walk this line, follow the light with your eyes, stand on one foot and touch your nose type of test, and can freely refuse without legal penalty. If you are going to claim I'm wrong, please provide the relevant statute. Generally, they only include chemical tests after arrest. Do you mind if I search your vehicle? If you say yes, meaning that you do mind, the cop will say you just consented to a search. If you say no, then it means you don't mind and just consented to a search. You have to say I do not consent to a search. The courts have ruled that you can withdraw consent at any time, including mid-search. It is an inalienable right. So if you ever feel like you've been tricked into consenting to a search, speak up and put a stop to it, and record yourself withdrawing consent. Do you know why I pulled you over? Can I come in? Can you hold this for a sec? Fingerprints. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.